Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Rebecca Sullivan from the Awake Academy. And what I'm going to be bringing to you today is the first of 6 meditations. These meditations are about shapeshifting. Shapeshifting is very important in life. It's the ability to take on the essence, the energy, the quality, the personality of something in this world that you need in order to progress or to manifest. Shapeshifting can be done on so many different levels. What we're going to talk about now is shifting into the elements and how important that is. Not only discussing it, but we're going to go over one particular element, and I'm actually going to offer that meditation to you right here and now. And then the future episodes, remember this is the first out of 6, will be a meditation on water, earth, air, ether, and then the final meditation will be putting them all together. These meditations will help you in so many different ways, but I want you to use them to get through something in your life that you need to get through or to manifest. Remember, we're manifesting 24/7. Everything is a manifestation. Remember that you are omnipresent. You're already part of everything that exists. I'm going to give you an example of that because it's an extremely important manifestation technique. So recently I was in Costa Rica and I was in San Jose, but my family was staying in Nosara. That's where we were vacationing. So I had a dentist appointment to go to. I had to catch the plane, go back to Nosara. I was catching the last flight back, and I was relaxing at a coffee shop in San Jose, and I lost track of time. And I realized I had to be at the airport in no more than 25 minutes, or they were not going to let me board the plane because you had to get there an hour early to take that little flight from San Jose, Costa Rica to Nosara, Costa Rica. So in a panic, I hurried up and I went out to the sidewalk, and I use Uber there all the time. It's usually very fast. And of course, I put the Uber in and it says connecting to driver, driver unavailable. I was like, oh shoot, I better try this again. I did it 2 more times, driver unavailable. Then I heard, Rebecca, remember, you're omnipresent. You're already part of everything that you want. You're part of everybody and everything. So be that Uber driver, because you're already part of that Uber driver and the essence of that Uber driver looking for you. So I quickly connected. I went into that energy that I am the Uber driver looking for me. The next thing I know, I put it in, and literally within 10 seconds, I got an Uber driver. That's a very powerful, powerful manifestation technique. I will go over that a little while later in Awake. But right now, we're going to talk about the elements and how important they are. Learning to shift into the elements will help you get into an energy that allows you to go through everyday life, shifting into what you need to be. The one thing about this that I want you to remember is when you shift, you are always doing it from the heart space. So if you're going to be part of the water, you're going to be the water through the field of the heart. We go into this in detail in Awake. If you're going to be the ether, the same thing, the air, the earth, and the fire, you're always going to shift into the elements through your heart space. Let me give you an example of how this was useful for me just a couple days ago. And this is an everyday situation. So my husband and I are getting ready to close on a really big real estate deal in which we definitely use the powers of manifestation to manifest. So everything was in a line. We're basically using one property to leverage another. The property that we're using as leverage just got appraised for $2.7 million 3 to 4 months ago. Okay, so we're going through that company. We're going to try to pull out about $1 million equity to leverage the next real estate deal that we're doing. And I'm on the phone with a lady, and she calls me and she's like, okay, right now I just need to go over the application with you and where we're at. And she's like, okay, based off of a $1.2 million appraisal, you can pull out about $400,000 equity. And then she starts to go on and I interrupt her. And at first I was a little upset because I was like, well, it's not $1.2 million. We're talking about a $2.75 million property here. And she looks on the application. She's like, that's not what's on the application. I have to go by what's on the application and review this with you. And then I say, well, what's on the application is incorrect. I was on the phone with the gentleman who did the application, and I'm the one that told him 2.75, not 1.2 million. She starts to get upset, and she's like, because all she had in her mind was what she had on the paper and what she had to say to me. And what she had to say to me was based off of a $1.2 million appraisal, which was incorrect. But she was going to go through all the numbers and the outcome of everything based on that because she, quote unquote, had to. I did not want her to have that in her mind because she was an important decision maker in this deal. I didn't want to put that out into the universe. That was not okay with me. So the element that I used was fire. And when I talk about fire, I'm not talking about getting angry, which I was there at one point, I'm not going to lie. But I quickly remembered, okay, you've got to be fire, Rebecca. Take a deep breath, go into your heart. Fire is warm, it's bright, it's full of energy, it's confident, it knows its truth. Fire's also not afraid to make ruckus or chaos if it needs to. Fire's not afraid to rock the boat from the heart space. Fire's not afraid to speak its truth. Fire is part of the god Ra, which is the sun. And this is the god of creation. So I took a deep breath and I actually went into that energy of being the fire, bringing light to her, bringing energy to this situation. The energy of what I was doing was extremely important because she could feel that over the phone. Remember, quantum entanglement is me talking to her. It doesn't matter if we're millions of miles away from each other. We are quantum entangled. So as soon as I went into the fire element, she took a deep breath and she paused. And at that point, we had been talking over one another. And I said, please, can you just do me a favor and go into your files and access the appraisal that we just had at the end of July? And she took a deep breath and she shifted and she was like, yes, I can do that. She went in. She took about 2 minutes. She found it and she said, oh, it's a $2.7 million appraisal. We do have to order a new one, but the old one was 2.75 million. So I said, okay, you can understand where I was a little concerned because we're talking about a situation where the $1.2 million was a mistake clerically put in there. And this is an appraisal that I had got at the end of July, and I didn't feel comfortable talking about our outcome based off of something that wasn't of truth. And she said, no, I do understand that. And then because I could tell that she was a little discombobulated, it was at that point that I became the water. I became just a flow, going with her energy, calming down. I didn't need to be forceful. I just flowed around her at that point. Okay, so then she says, okay, let's make a plan. She says, we will get the appraisal ordered. Hopefully it comes back at what the old one did. She said, but I don't see that being a problem. That will only take a few days. And then she tells me the other things that I need. And I was very agreeable with her, very quiet. I stepped back. I let her go first. And I was very flowy from the field of my heart. I did what I needed to do to make her feel comfortable with my energy and want to flow with me. Okay, so then she says to me, okay, make sure to email me this documentation, which was income documentation, and we will meet in 2 days. I thanked her. She told me that she was taking her husband someplace to get a medical checkup, and I asked, I said, I hope that goes very well. I wished her a great day, and then we got off the phone. Now, there's something I know about this lady from working with her. When I email her the documentation, it sometimes goes through to where it needs to go through the underwriters because I'd worked with her before, and then sometimes it doesn't. So I pay attention to everybody I talk to. That is being omnipresent. That's being the wind. The wind can be everywhere all at once at the same time. It can just go poof. So what I did was I remembered a guy named Peter that I had talked to. And I did email her the requested documentation, but it was also very important that that documentation get to the underwriting. So I called Peter. I said, "Hi, Peter. My name is Rebecca, and you and I spoke before, and you were so nice in helping me with getting my paperwork together before that I thought I'd reach out to you. And if I email you all of this documentation, this income documentation, that you'd be so kind as to get this to underwriting so that they can review the correct documentation." He was like, "Sure, I definitely will do that." And that's an example being the wind, being everywhere all at once. I didn't put my eggs in one basket. I made sure to reach out to where I needed to go while not drawing too much attention to myself in a way that would be negative. Now let's talk about earth in this situation, the element of earth. We're going to back up to when I even first started to plan any of our real estate projects. Basically, that is planting the seeds where they need to go. I'm going to talk to this person who is a really good resource. I'm going to plant my seed of who I am. I'm not going to worry about it too much, and I'm going to let that grow. And then I might talk to another person and plant that seed and let that grow. Maybe there are 10 moving parts at once, which we often have in our lives. In each moving part, we plant seeds and let that grow. And when things grow, they're rooted, they have roots, and they interconnect, and they can work with the other elements. So that is where I believe that earth is really necessary. Planting your seeds, letting them grow, letting things in your life nurture, feeding them the way you need to, and then becoming, once again, the other elements as necessary. Where ether comes in very strong is when I'm thinking about the appraisal. To be honest with you, I want them to use the exact same company as they did before for the $2.75 million appraisal. That's what I wanted, okay? But I have no control over that. There's no one I can call. I can't really do anything about that, because if I had control over that, trust me, I would make that phone call. So that's where I turn into the ether. I'm going into faith. I'm going into command. I'm going into unconditional love, gratitude, appreciation, all those energies that connects me to spirit. I'm becoming that element. Once I put all my ducks in a row and it's physically out of my hands, I become the element of ether. And don't get me wrong, you want to be the element of ether while doing everything, but this is just a really good example of where that is useful. And I can apply this to so many parts of your life every single day. And that situation turned out magical, by the way. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do the first meditation of the series on becoming the fire element. So I want you just to take a very strong, deep breath, remembering that with each and every breath, you are breathing in life force energy. You are part of everything that exists. Just keep doing this, listening to the beautiful sounds as you take each breath in, breathing in the life force breath and exhaling anything that's no longer useful for you. Very, very good job. Now, with everything that we do, and what you learn in the Wake Academy, is that you need to be one with your heart space. The heart is the command center. The heart is your mothership. When you are in the command of your own mothership, have control of everything external. And when I mean control, I don't mean that in the ego term, I mean in your power. So once again, allow yourself to go into your command center. Get very, very comfortable. And as you sink deeper into the command center of your heart, things are more comfortable, brighter, and you notice a stillness. And in that stillness is the space where you can create whatever you want. I always want you to remember that. That stillness is very important. When you go into that internal stillness, that can shift anything that is happening to you externally, no matter how difficult it seems. And as you realize this, it allows you to become even more comfortable in the field of your heart. And it's feeling as though your brain is dissipating and your head is disappearing. And even though you can hear my voice, you're not really concentrating on everything that I'm saying. You just know what I'm saying. You are hearing this from the field of the heart. And as you do, what you notice is how expansive you are. You're not just this little being in a segregated place. You are everything and one with anything. So with this, I want you to think about the fire. The element of the fire. And remember, we're not doing this from a space of anger. You're doing this from a space within your heart of calmness and command. And I want you to bring in a situation in your life where you may need to be that fire, where you may need to bring warmth and light and recreation and energy. A situation in your life where you need to set boundaries and speak your truth. But you want to do it in the most compassionate, loving way. So I think it's important that you notice what it feels like to be the fire and not be angry, but rather be the fire and be in command, certain, truthful. A god or a goddess. Allow yourself to go into that space. I want you to notice what it feels like to be the fire as it warms your kundalini. What are you noticing as you are the fire element? What are you hearing? What are you seeing from your third eye? When you see the things in front of you as the fire element, what is that like? And you're doing it through your third eye. It's going to look a little different than if you were going to see something as a human. So you're the fire element. You're in that energy. Notice what you're experiencing. Through your third eye, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you experiencing or feeling? How is the fire interacting with the other elements? Notice how it feels to have that command and that truth over your life. How that's useful to be the fire. You may want to take that certain situation in your life and put that in front of you. And at first you may see you standing there. Then all of a sudden you become the fire. You're shifting into it, and you're just shifting into it with intention and focus. Where your thought goes, your energy flows. Feeling yourself become that fire. And the cool thing about fire is it does certain dances. It can turn different colors. I'm sure you've noticed that. So So as you're the fire element going through that certain situation in your life, making presence in that situation, shifting that situation, giving that situation truth, clarity, light, and warmth, you may need to destroy or take out some things that are not useful for you. That is okay. That is the power of alchemy. Whatever needs to go in your life, whatever that fire needs to take out, the other elements will alchemize it. And we will go into that. Really good. Just don't be scared to let go of what you need to let go of now. Stand strong in your truth as that fire element. Stand strong in the fact that you are now present and visible. The fire is different from the wind. Everyone can see you. Because you know why? You need to be seen. You need to be heard. Your presence and power is necessary in the most loving way right now. Really good job. Just keep doing that. Keep feeling that fire energy as you're working through what you need to work through. And then just as fast and furious as you might have started, now let yourself just calm down and come into your center and become you once again, but a new you, rejuvenated you. And then notice what it feels like after you shift. You realize that you can be a part of everything and anything, and that your consciousness is so very expansive. The only limit to what you can be is you, your energy, and your focus. And you can feel the remainder of the programming that was holding you back release. And you're ready to purge any of this that is necessary as you give gratitude and thanks and appreciation and love to yourself and everything else that you need to around you, because appreciation and gratitude is very, very important in creating the life that you want. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this meditation. Remember, this is the first of 6. And have a magical day.